All right, and welcome to the January wrap-up, where, at least in the beginning of January, it's been very warm here. And I think that's because of our hot book selection this month, Mr. Crypto.
Yes, it has been extremely warm.
What is the weather like in Florida there?
It was 83 degrees today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's...
Hey, Google, what's the temperature outside?
The current temperature is 26.
26 today. It's not so hot today.
It was 83 today. One of the kids walks by and goes, "You're wearing long sleeve shirts. Aren't you dying?" I was like, "It is very warm out here." And sweat was dripping down my face.
As I wear my long sleeve shirt here in my 26 degree weather. All right, Mr. Crypto, today we are talking about this January's challenge, which was to find you a replacement for the greatest short story of all time, which of course we did not succeed in that endeavor. However, I would argue it's been a very successful month.
Yeah, we may not have found a replacement for the greatest short story ever, but I think that we had a lot of fun. I think that we did a great job in bringing up some new points in the stories, and I really just enjoyed reading these stories, many of them for the first times, and getting to know the authors more and about their lives. And I'm inspired now to read some biographies and to watch some documentaries about the authors themselves.
And I think we learned a little bit about your taste, too. So I know next time we do this challenge, I'm going to be looking for some more fantastical elements. I'm going to be looking for that grit and a dash about talking about the future for my teacher here.
Gritty fantasy. I like that.
All right, so what did we accomplish this month? We had 13 videos that we recorded, 8 short stories, 1 poem, and 1 tag video. Now, the greatest success, though, is that we had several people that had actually read along with some of our short stories in this challenge, which I think is part of the purpose of this channel, was to get people talking about books more.
Yes. Getting more involved in literature in 2019, 2020, in the age of technology and tweets and Facebooks and Insta, TikToks and...
Whoa. But hey, speaking of which, we now have social media. We are live, where I officially, once a day, check social media.
Once a day, you go on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah. All right, and also, we actually had a big milestone this month. We had our first video to pass 1,000 views, which I am proud of from like a booktube perspective. Like, we're not like a huge action-packed area like movies and stuff like that, but that's a big deal, I feel like, for a very small channel to have their first video cross that threshold.
Yeah, and we're nearing in our 200 subscriber mark too, so that's pretty fun.
We might have actually just passed it. We'll see after we get this video edited and up.
Nice. That's exciting.
Okay, so for our ratings, we have a unique system where instead of like our personal feelings of how we felt about each story, what we do in this wrap-up is we have a rating system for would we recommend it for other people to check out, because our videos tend to be you've already read this piece and you're going into an in-depth analysis. This is you maybe haven't read it, and we're going to try and tell you whether you should check it out or not. So first up, we've got the highest recommendation, which is the collect it, which is the idea that go out of your way, get signed copies if you can, sell various organs that you don't need for them, stuff like that.
Only need 1 kidney.
You got the buy it, which is kind of like the buy the hardback, paperback, Kindle, whatever you're comfortable. Put it in your personal library. You probably may reread it several times throughout life. You've got the backlog it, which is kind of the pick it up from the library, friends of the library sales, big discounts. If you see it, you might want to grab it. Then we've got our skip it category, the very rare skip it, which is more of like, hey, this isn't for many people, and you might want to consider skipping this. And we got the lowest rating of all, which is trash it, which is we don't know who this is for. We probably see problems with it. Definitely check out that this is a piece for you before grabbing it. But we don't worry about those bottom 2 categories because we are in the greatest short stories of all time, Mr. Crypto. Our first one up for ratings is the story that Alanis Morissette needed to read before writing her song Ironic, Lamb to the Slaughter by Roald Dahl.
Isn't it ironic, don't you think?
And they're not ironic. Not none, but a lot of those situations are just sad. Not even just... Yeah. All right. I'm going to say you went with backlog it.
Really?
I'm going negative. I'm going lower on this one. You're at the buy it, aren't you?
Yeah, buy it. I thought I was pretty positive about this one. I like the twist. I like the symmetry in the beginning with the chairs and the symbolism and the drinks, and I love the irony and the dialogue. I thought I was pretty positive on this one.
No, you were.
No?
You were. And
Okay.
I think you kicked it off really well with that symmetry analysis.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know. Negative. Okay, hit me.
I'm going to say you said backlog it.
Ha! Buy it in your face.
I knew you were going to do buy it. I just said that to make you feel better.
Well, I own a copy of his collected works.
I know.
You got to remember, a lot of these I have read before, so I picked them because I knew they were really good and a good analysis piece for us, and I knew they'd be in the literary canon that you and I should have at least talked about as we go through other works. All right, next up, we got the story that made mockery of our channel, with a caution to overanalyzing and a middle finger to our deep analysis.
Yeah.
We've got Signs and Symbols by Vladimir Nabakov.
Yeah, I feel like he got us on this one. Like, ha ha ha, stupid.
He I think he's poking at the critique technique, not necessarily the person. But you said you said collect it, right? Collect it.
Yeah, I think this one is a collected. This one, man, it's so good. It's a teachable piece. It is something that is rereadable. It's something that could be life-changing, I think.
Well, let me throw you a curveball.
Okay.
Because this is a good piece that, like, when you get that really pretentious friend and you're like, I'll bet you can't figure this one out. And you,
Yes.
and you give it to him just
Yes.
for him to be like, what does it all mean? Like, I would almost say, would you consider even just a buy it for the sole purpose of the fact that you're going to lend this out to people and you don't want them to have your signed copy?
Yeah. So maybe it should be like collect it and buy it. Our first one ever has a dual one.
The dual.
Because you have
rating.
the collector's edition for yours, and then you have a buy it that you lend to a friend to mess with, and they get all upset about it. And you're like, oh, there was a meaning behind that book? I didn't think there was one.
That guy clearly did not. That guy clearly did not come to our Vladimir Nabokov trivia night that we've discussed in that video. All right, now we took our chances and found no black dot with this next one, The Lottery.
The Lottery
by Shirley Jackson. You said buy it, right? Buy it.
I think this one is a collect it. And
Okay.
maybe not necessarily. Okay, so I think so many of these I feel like kind of are a dual purpose. So like this one, it could be a buy it, but you kind of buy it in indirect ways, right? Because you're buying stories and movies and games and books that use the premise of this over and over. I mean, this is a total cliche stolen story so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I almost kind of want to say collect it.
Yeah, it's timeless, if you will.
Yeah.
I would. Oh, you want to guess?
I'm going to say you're going to say buy it too.
In your face, I'ma collect it.
Yeah, okay.
And you could probably pick it up easier because everybody was just giving away their copies of the New Yorker when this came out because they were so appalled.
Good thing we have the internet now.
All right. While finding a good man be elusive, finding the greatest short story of all time may not be with this piece. The Good Man, or A Good Man, is hard to find by Flannery O'Connor. You said collect it for sure on this one.
You said collect it too. That's a no-brainer.
Oh yeah. This is arguably one of the greatest short stories ever written, and the fact that she tricks the reader into playing God in this by passing judgment, and you don't even realize, like, you think like there's people that are like, she did it, she didn't do it, but like it's just playing right into her hands. Like, oh, it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, Flannery was an amazing writer, and I wish that she would have lived longer to write more, you know?
Yeah,
I think we were denied a lot of her greatness.
Yes. Yeah, I think you had a good point about when you did some research on her and said that maybe some of her writing had to be with her dealing with her own mortality. I hadn't known that, so that definitely helps enrich some of that to me. And I got a little surprise for you, but we may have some more Flannery lined up just because we loved this piece so much. Now, the next one is The Bible in Disguise.
The one you just ripped apart.
Three questions. Three questions by Leo Tolstoy. You said buy it.
Ooh, I think this is the one. I love this piece. And again, I think this is another good teachable one where we broke it down very well. But I think that if you have limited time, or if you're creating, say, a curriculum for a class, I would leave this off in lieu of some of the other ones we've discussed. I'm going to backlog it.
Okay, take that, 1885 or whatever it was that came out.
1848.
You bring up some good points that this is kind of like a half a class, right? Like this isn't you're dedicating a whole class to teaching this, but it's something you want under your belt. So I could see that. I'm gonna go with backlog it as well. You convinced me. I wasn't gonna say backlog it because on a personal level, it seems like you and I seem to keep going with like a 7 or 8 on every Tolstoy piece that we read. But I agree with some of what you said there that the brevity of it kind of it limits it, right?
Well, I think it's outclassed is all it is.
Yeah, by design.
Yeah.
All right, bare-chested men hunting a poor crippled bear in the wilderness. Oh, what is old Ben gonna do? He's the only one that can help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Bear by William Faulkner. Up next, you said backlog it.
Yeah, I'm going to say backlog it on this one. Again, I think there's other pieces that are easier reads. While this is probably, as we said, go watch our video, did a whole breakdown of it, the greatest wilderness story ever, I think that you can get a lot of the same stuff out of other stories that are easier to read. And that's just, I think, coming from a standpoint that readers need to be able to digest things at their own pace or their own abilities. And this one, you need a comrade in arms to be able to break it down and maybe do a little dialogue to be able to understand this one, like with a lot of Faulkner things. So, if you don't have your Faulkner degree, you might struggle with it. And that would be sad because you might miss out on some of the really goodness of this story.
But to get that Faulkner degree, join us this year as we give Crypto his certificate in Faulkner, as we rake him through the coals of Faulkner. All right. First of all, you got to guess me.
Collect it.
Yeah, obviously.
You're going to get a shirt made with I survived the bear.
This is such a unique literary experience. You just can't get this in many other places. And it was such a gorgeous story about not only, think of it this way, Mr. Crypto, how many stories can we name where they can mean two totally different things depending on the context that you come into it? Because straight up, it's very masculine. It's very man versus wilderness or man versus modernization. And I know you don't have this experience, but I've explained a little bit to you about the Go Down Moses side, where all of a sudden you're looking at this of, can you really own land? And what did we do to the slaves? And how did that affect the people and the land throughout time? There's such different experiences from the exact same work of art.
That's a great point. It really is. But I think without you as my river guide, I would not get that much out of the story.
Right.
Or this is something that you need 2 to tango on this book. Like, you need to read this with your book club. And convincing them to do Faulkner might be a challenge in itself. So you could backlog it and then maybe wean them into it like you did with me.
Well, and let me rib you a little bit, too, that maybe you don't wait till 2 days before it's due to read it. I'm serious on that one, though. I am serious. Yeah. You need to take your time. When you rush through it, I promise you it'll change your opinion, and keep that in mind as we continue down your certificate.
Hey, I read it and listened to it, buddy, in 2 days.
Keep that in mind as we continue on your certificate. All right, up next, a haunting story, which is apparently how I have chosen my vacation plan. There Will Come Soft Rains by Ray Bradbury, where I have visited the Hiroshima exhibit and became very sad. All right, Crypto, you said buy it. I'm going to downgrade it. Buy it.
Now collect it.
Oh.
We're both collecteds on this one.
I'm negative. I'm too negative on you. Yeah, well, and you know this came later that year as republished in the Martian Chronicles. So I wonder if, like The Bear, I don't know this. I've never read the Martian Chronicles. Would reading that whole story, collected stories, whatever you want to call it, change our view on this? I don't know. That might be something to check out someday.
Yeah, that could be fun. Yeah, I the chance to get to read this again and maybe expand upon it would be awesome. I love the historical aspects of this. I love the destructiveness and the teachable to real life, not like teaching in the classroom, but to teach humans that we are our own worst enemies. And being that like this was thrown into Fallout 3 is pretty amazing, and that there are references to this in poems and songs and other things. Yeah, this is one that you need to read to be able to get other things inside of those other pieces of media and literature. So this is definitely one that you need to read.
Yeah. All right, the next one is a personal favorite of mine. All right, the next one is a personal favorite of mine and probably a more mature version of a very popular Goethe story, and I'm probably murdering that name like always. But we've got Araby by James.
Do your accent. There you go.
Araby by James
We're gonna do
Joyce.
the whole thing in our Irish accent for the rest of the video.
All right, so when I was editing that video, I don't know if you know this or not, but I admit that your Irish accent is better than mine.
I'm Irish.
No, I'm Irish too. I've got 70% Irish blood, and that's about as good as my Irish accent gets. So, you said, "Oh, you're a little poopy on this one. You're a buy it. You're a buy it."
What? I was poopy on this one?
Well, you're
I
poopy.
gave this one like a 9.
You're poopy in the sense.
8.5.
Well, you're poopy in the sense that I thought this might overtake Harrison Bergeron.
Oh, yeah. I'll go with buy it. That's
This is.
I thought it was a little bit higher on it, but yeah, you're right. I did get a little bit poopy that the love story didn't get me.
Even though, well, that's probably because it reminds you of your chilling and haunting past. That was you growing. That was you growing up.
Yeah, I'm the loser.
Mangan's sister was the one that was leaving you out to dry.
Oh. Maybe I was the one that wanted to become a nun.
All right, now come on, hit me.
Priest. Yeah, you're a buy it.
Nope.
What? Backlog it?
This is one of my favorite short stories of all time. The Dubliners. Really? Whew. Oh yeah, that's a collect it. Dubliners is amazing. Like a ton of those stories, like The Dead and Encounter Sisters. I mean, good piece. All right, the last one, kind of awkward. We're not really a poetry channel, but since we're on the journey to the Dark Tower, we did The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot, which we are not equipped to handle. Let's just be honest.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think we should give that, because we're going to be unfair and say skip it. And
No, actually, I would say backlog it because it's an easy library pickup.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's short enough that if you're reading The Dark Tower and you're like, hey, what kind of may have inspired some themes or thematic elements to what Stephen King did, I'd say, like, yeah, go pick up the library. It's a 10, 15-minute read, right?
Okay. I will agree with backlog it if you're going to like listen to it online. Like if you're riding the bus or your bike or walking on the treadmill, and you can just put it in and kind of listen to it and maybe absorb it through osmosis. Otherwise, no, I would say skip it. But I'm not a poetry guy, I guess. I don't have the wherewithal to do poetry. I don't know, maybe it's my broken heart because of what happened to me in Araby.
Araby.
Arabies. Horsey sauce.
All right, guys, lace up your boots, put on your bandoliers, because soon we are headed for the Dark Tower next month.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for what our theme for February is. Hint, hint. It's what teachers teach in February. Like,
We're not doing love stories?
no, no, sir. All right, guys, thank you so much for checking it out. Like we said, we are officially on social media right now. Please consider reaching out and subscribing if you enjoy literature breakdowns and discussions on the books that we read. We think it is important for us to talk about what we take from books and share it with others. Una out.
Peace.